People say I got a drinking problem. That ain't no reason to stop. People saying.
All right, folks, we are hanging out at the storied Dakota Tavern with some fellas from Dripping Springs, Texas.
Or Texas.
Or Tejas. Guys, thanks so much for coming to Canada.
Thanks for having us.
Is this
Canada
your
for letting us
first
in.
trip to Canada?
As a band, yeah.
As a band, it is.
And it's
right?
my first trip to Canada.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Drinking Problem. That's the current single that's absolutely skyrocketing on country radio. Maybe tell us how that song came about for you guys.
The song came about us sitting down and collaborating the very first time actually with our buddies Shane McAnally and Josh Osborne, who are now consequently producers on the EP, and we're working on the album with them along with Dan Huff. But it just started with us all getting to know each other and actually sharing a couple beers and talking about all the music that we loved. Because Shane and Josh are known for writing a lot of music that's pretty different from ours. But it turns out that we all have the same background, and our commonalities, our love for that music that came out of the 70s, 80s, the Merle Haggard, the Gary Stewarts, the Ronnie Millsaps, the early George Strait stuff. And we just kind of started talking about, I don't know, I guess things that we know. And all of us have spent a lot of time inside places like this. And, I think the story kind of wrote itself just because it was so familiar to us all. And I think we all knew that archetype that the song's about.
So, picking it as the first single off the EP, was that something that you guys all talked about together? Obviously with the
That song had its own buzz from the very beginning of us demoing it, and it really did help us secure our record deal. And that song's been around. We written that song 2.5 years ago, so it was one that had always been. It was sort of. It opened a lot of doors for us. So we have a lot of great songs, and we love every song on the EP, and they all tell a different part of our story. But that song, I think unanimously we felt that seems like a good first song. It gives you a good flavor of what Midland's about,
Well, it's a good start, I guess, for the introductory into what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
It's being classified, I guess, as traditional country. That 70s and 80s sound.
Mm-hmm.
Country is whatever you really want to call it today, you know. Is there something about being pigeonholed into a certain category, or maybe trying to find that radio-friendly sound for you guys, or was it all about the music?
We like to call it modern traditional country. It's traditional country. It's influenced by all the names that Mark had said previously, and some, in today's world. We're not sitting down and recording the tape right now. I mean, we might for some drum tones or whatever if it calls for it, but there's nothing. We want it to get to as many people as possible, and the way that you do that today is make a high fidelity as you can.
And we also want to bring something new, something that is uniquely Midland. I mean, we use traditional country as our foundation, and that's where a lot of our influences come from. But, I mean, if we're not creating something that's new, too, then, we just kind of
There's no point. We don't want to be derivative.
Yeah.
But also, just to touch on that, if you say traditional, well, look in the 70s, the breadth and the bandwidth of the different styles and kinds of music that were happening in the 70s, 80s, early 90s. And, so when people say traditional, I don't think of any one person. I think of it's a pretty large and kind of wide open palette. And I think it's just really what people are harking back when they say traditional. I think it's more about the craftsmanship of the songs and of the content, that there wasn't as many disposable kind of pop songs, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just seemed like people were singing about more.
At least the people that we've honed in on.
Yeah.
I'm sure if
Realer
I was
subjects,
dropped in 1977, there'd be their fair share of bad music, and that stuff doesn't stand the test of time.
Sure.
And because I wasn't around then, I'm not as exposed to it. But if you're asking if we're scared to be labeled as traditional in the world of today's country music, which is anything at this point, I say bring it on. It's an honor.
I like that. I'm all about the music. Dan Huff, working with him, come on, get real.
Shredder Extreme.
unreal to work with somebody like that. Josh as well, and Shane has a laundry list of songs.
But we never compliment Shane in public.
Okay,
It'll go
so
to his
like,
head.
okay,
Yeah.
well, so sorry,
what do you
Shane.
want?
Nothing to do with that. What was it like
What are
to
you
work?
getting at here, man?
Well, I'm curious on what it was like to work with those guys. I know we touched briefly on the single, but
We're not allowed to talk about it because we're still in the lawsuit, and I'm still in therapy from the first time, so I haven't quite healed. No, it's been incredible, man. I mean, it all starts for us with everybody that started with us about relationships. Like Jess and Cameron, like they're two of my favorite people. They're two people that I look up to, that I learn from. So that was the beginning of it for me, and I think vice versa. We feel that way. And then everybody we surrounded ourselves with are people that we like, people that are good people, but also somebody that we can draw from, inspiration and guidance. And when it comes to Dan Huff, his ability to be able to look at a song at a macro and a micro level at the same time, and also still stay in the loop of the conversation
He's
and
actually-
finish with a punchline.
It's called being nearsighted, actually. And when you have bifocal lenses, you can see far and near, and he's the human version of that.
You can compartmentalize
You
things in a
understand?
way
Are
that's
you feeling us?
incredible.
absolutely 100%.
Can you guys imagine?
Talking about bifocals.
Talking about bifocals, we actually have
designer frames.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, designer.
the
for it.
Midland brand. We need to talk about this to the people here. I couldn't imagine making a record under duress, and I know a lot of artists do, and it's just we're too grown for that kind of thing. We have too many opinions, and we care too much about music.
Let's talk about Big Machine now, being signed with them. How has that opened the door for you guys as a band?
Jess?
I mean, being with Big Machine has given us a chance to meet a global audience, a chance to be here in Canada right now. They just have that kind of reach, and when they believed in us and signed on to this project, it really, that was a game changer for us. That was what put us out into the marketplace and gave the people a chance to decide if they like it. And so far the response has been very, very good, and we're so grateful to Big Machine, for believing in this and having the vision to go, like, this doesn't need to be changed. Like, I see what you're going for, and sort of giving us the time too that it took to create the records that we wanted to make. And
They've been assisting us to reaching our full potential, and that's all you can ask for without trying to change you. That's literally what I feel like it's been doing. They've been taking the songs that were chosen, and they're helping us to realize their full potential. That's what they did with introducing Dan Huff into the mix. We were already with Shane and Josh, and that's what it is. So I don't know. It seems to be serendipitous. It seems to almost be kind of fateful.
I mean, I feel bad for the guy, the fourth member of our band that they made us fire, but you know what? Screw him.
Little Stevie.
He's out.
Little Steve.
So what? He wrote
Steve-O.
all those songs.
Doesn't matter.
With us. So what? He
Really.
was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? He's all of our half brother. We're all related to him. It's a really
Yeah.
complicated tree, but whatever.
Yeah, it
look,
doesn't
he's
matter.
he's got Chuck E. Cheese now. He's got a good
He's
gig.
enjoying
said a
it.
good
I think
thing.
he's happier that
I saw
way.
him. He's smiling the other day. Half tank of gas. and
Well, that was
pizza
the head
and-
that he had on, that he was wearing. That head was smiling, but I don't know if he was smiling underneath it.
Because he's wearing the Chuck E. Cheese smile. Do you guys have Chuck E.
Oh,
Cheese?
totally.
Here?
Yeah, I'm gonna take my kids all the time.
Big rat.
So. Yeah, big
He's the
rat.
rat.
The pizza's so fantastic.
He's the
though.
rat.
Anyway, guys, thanks so much for doing this. Thanks for coming up to Canada, and look forward to seeing you guys.
People
Bye.
say I got a drinking problem. That ain't